Tell me about this day. What's it mean to you?
It's a. I find it to be very important in regards to the fact that the ride is about showing support for the veterans and their families. Sometimes we describe it as a demonstration. It's a free ride to allow people to show their support by riding on the 401, which basically is a highway of heroes. And one reason why we call the ride a Heroes or Highway ride. Today it seems to be harder and harder to show that type of support for veterans. And it's not the veterans that passed in World War II, World War I. It's about the veterans that are still here and their families, and particularly Silver Cross families. So that's, and the other thing that I find that's really important here with this particular venue in the Port Hope that I've been doing now for 7 years is it brings back, by putting stuff back into the community. Everybody that's here provided a free spot as a venue to provide their services to raise funds or awareness for other community type events, whether it be veterans or the local Lions, the Knights of Columbus, Fair Share Food, Prince Edward regiments here. That's one of probably the things that I get the most enjoyment of, to be able to help these people go forward. That I would say that's probably the most important thing. It's probably the thing that I'm going to miss most, is that being able to provide this sort of venue for people that are, again, raising money for the community. So,
Bob, great to see you again. Tell me about your involvement about this. Tell me about how it is important to this community.
Well, number one, it is important in my opinion. When I was mayor, they first came to council asking if they could, do this event here. And that was, I think, 7 years ago, perhaps. And council did have some differing opinions about how welcome it would be. They weren't welcome in every community, and I think that goes back not because of their association with the military and what have you, or the fact that they're bikers. And I think bikers sometimes aren't welcome everywhere. They're certainly welcome here. And then from that perspective and from that timing, council did approve them coming here. And they've been coming here like it's their home now for every year since 7 years ago. This, unfortunately, will be their last official ride. So I'm very fortunate that they've asked me to make some comments and be part of this process. So
You were talking about the park, how it's appropriately named for this type of event.
The whole community is. I mean, look at our new epitaph and the investment that the government has made, but we've also made from a municipality. And as I say, the history of Port Hope goes back to every war possible that we've been involved in and sent people to. So having it in Memorial Park and having it consistently for the last 7 years, it really has bonded us, I think, not only to the military community, but to the group that's providing all the support for the families and those who have been in the military. So really happy to see them. Sorry it's going to be their last year, but maybe somebody will pick it up and carry it on a bit. It's like many things, I think after a period of time, it's been about 15 years, things can wear down. So maybe a bit of new blood and hopefully a little bit more activity and things will continue.
Lou, tell me about this. How long has this been going for, and what's today like?
Well, it's been 15 years, and I'm thrilled with the turnout today. We've had a picture-perfect day, and we've already, unfortunately, because of the size of the crowd, had a couple of incidences, but the feeling in the crowd is strong and positive, and I know that a lot of these people are sad that we're calling this the last one, but it's time to pass the torch, time to let some new blood, new ideas, and that come in and pick up the torch and run with their ideas. So this was 15 lovely years, and I'm really proud of everything that it is. I'm happy that we're going out with a really strong, turnout.
What was it all about when you first started it?
Well, I was standing on the bridge when we brought in our 98th, 99th, and 100th casualty of the Afghan mission, and it was just before Christmas, and the emotion was unbelievable on the bridge, and I was standing there, and you watch the procession go by, and you sit there and go, wow, this is an amazing outpouring of support and love and mourning by a country for one of their sons. But then I thought, what about the ones that are serving? What are the ones that served and go back? What about the ones that have served and have been injured? Where is their flag draped bridges? Where's their recognition? And that's how the HHR was born.
Has it been everything you wanted it to be?
For the most part, yeah. Even with the challenges, I wouldn't have changed anything. Absolutely proud of what this has become and what it means to the veterans and what it means to the people of Canada. It's an honor and a privilege to be, so warmly welcomed by the veterans and be so well respected, because when I started this out, I had no idea where it was going to go.
Talk about Port Hope. Port Hope's welcomed you?
Yeah, Port Hope. Thanks to Brian Stacey. He's a local, and he said, his father started the Tony Stacey Center for Veterans Care, and he said, Lou, bring it to Port Hope. I know if you bring it to Port Hope, we'll get the town and everything. And I said, okay. We were looking for a home for it, and Mayor Bob Sanderson just grabbed onto it and ran with it, and we've had a home ever since.
How many bikes would you say are here today?
Today, we're probably ringing in close to 2,000. And we're probably looking at attendance somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 to 6,000. So I'm really, really happy with this being the last ride.
I want to thank you, Lou, for all you've done. You've done a lot to bring awareness, and sometimes that's all you can do. But you've brought a lot to bring awareness to the veteran community, and that. It's well done on your part for all the stress, time, patience, happiness, but I'm sure it's been a roller coaster ride for you for all these years.
There's always ups and downs, and you know what? That's one of the things that I talked about today when I was doing the earlier assembly. It's the resilience of the Canadian Forces that have always worked with less to do more, and I tried to do more with less, and it's their resilience that inspired me to keep going. But I've had great people around me, people like Trapper Kane and Cav. There's other veterans groups that have grabbed onto this and really were a strong part of keeping me going too. But there's always a time to move on, and now's the time to move on.
David, what do you think of this event?
I think it's amazing. It's amazing that Port Hope is so supportive of this important event. Ride really for our freedom. Motorcyclists from around Ontario come in, and it's to raise awareness that freedom is never free. And it's an incredible testament to Brian, Dave, and Lou. We've been putting this on for 15 years. I'm very grateful our town hosted 5,000 people, 2,500 veterans riding today. And it's a special day, and I'm proud, as a proud patriot, proud Canadian, I'm proud to see the turnout today.
Good morning, everyone. It's such a beautiful day today. My name is Sheik, and I'm here on behalf of MP Philip Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence wishes and extends his heartfelt thanks to all the veterans, their families, and first responders for their sacrifices and all that they do. This year, June 1st, 2024, we celebrate the 15th anniversary of this ride. This annual event promotes awareness and unity, bringing together veterans, families of veterans, first responders, and people from all walks of life for their support, and showing their support and respect for the gratitude of men and women who protect our country and serve in the armed forces. As your Member of Parliament for Northumberland Peterborough South, Mr. Philip Lawrence, I'd like to thank you all for your dedication and support in recognizing the sacrifices of our people and their families. Thank you.
A couple of presentations, I believe.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Bob, and thank you, everybody, for being here. Welcome to Port Hope. It's an honor to be here as your local member of provincial parliament on behalf of the government of Ontario, and it's just to say thank you. Freedom is never free, and we owe a debt of gratitude we'll never truly be able to repay to veterans, active servicemen and women and their families. But I just want to take a special moment today, marking 15 years, to thank Brian, Lou, and Dave, who've been instrumental in making this happen, who've overcome so many obstacles to bring us all together. So can we get a big round of applause for these great men? And I have a little token of our appreciation, some plaques from the Government of Ontario, and a very fitting Canadian flag to thank these patriots. So gentlemen, can you please come forward? I'll come down. So guys, a big thank you for doing this, for bringing us all together, for honoring men and women who've served, their families, and for reminding us about the formative role they've played to ensure the freedoms that we enjoy here in this great country we call home, Canada today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Alina Enkaminski, please come forward.
Thank you, former Mayor Sanderson, for that wonderful announcement and introduction. Welcome everybody to Port Hope. Welcome to our heroes.
Thank you.
Welcome to the families. Welcome to our first responders. Heroes come in all shapes and sizes. To our province, to our local community. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your dedication, and thank you to all of you for coming out and celebrating this moment with us today. Enjoy Port Hope, and please do go see us on the main street. Explore while you're here. We're a beautiful town. Enjoy, and thank you to everyone.
Well, it's been a terrific day. And I want to thank all of you for making it possible. I might have been the key to having this happen, but it's all of you that make it all possible. So I want you to give yourselves a hand, because without you, this isn't happening. So thank you all. When I came up, conceived the idea of the Heroes Highway Ride, a lot of people had their doubts, their questions of how it would come about. And after 15 years and all the challenges and all the sacrifices that go into organizing an event like this, the resilience that keep it going was fed by the very, veterans that I dreamed I could support with a ride. And it's going to be hard to say goodbye. But I want to thank you for making this part of me. Thank you again.
I don't think you have to stop the applause. I think it's well deserved, and it should be long, and it was long. And Lou, thank you so much. Well done, Lou. the rolling barrages over here, the footsteps of Canadian heroes. And they are very, almost individually, going across the country, acknowledging and supporting those people who have been associated with you.
15 years. For some folks, it went by pretty quick. The reason for the ride, the reason we're all gathered here is because for many, too many folks, time stood still for them. They got a phone call, they looked out in their driveway and there was a padre and assisting officer standing there with their hats in their hands. Some of the poor souls learned on the internet. They learned through the radio that a son or a daughter was the casualty who was on his way home or her way home from Afghanistan. I rode to the very first return when we first had our 4 heroes come home. I attended 150 repatriations of those that followed. The 158 that came down that highway heroes, that's the connection this ride has with today and the last 15 years. For 15 years, our hearts and hands on motorcycles have been tied to the highway of heroes. So as a CAV national president, during the war in Afghanistan, it was my honor, my privilege, and my duty to travel across Canada, observing what was going on with our Silver Cross families and those who support them, like everybody gathered here today. I would leave this ride and I would go to Newfoundland, finish back in British Columbia, move my way back here to Ontario. And what you have to understand is that an energy began in this town with Lou and Brian and Dave and their crew that went right across the country. And I witnessed it with my own eyes. I'd leave here and I rode out west to British Columbia, 2011. A gentleman out there named Barry Drews, a CAV member, realized that we were showing respect to the people here in Ontario, and they have had casualties in British Columbia. And he wanted to know what we do and how it's done. And I told him about HHR. I told them how you go to the families, introduce yourself, let them know you're there for them, and if they want support or help, offer it to them. If they don't want anything, leave them on their own, but be there for them. He went to Ann and Gary Basin. Their son Colin had just been killed in Afghanistan. Ann and Gary and this Mr. Drews formed the first provincial Highway of Heroes. It was my honor to ride down that Highway of Heroes extension from Abbotsford out number 1 highway, carrying Maureen Eichenboom on the back of my bike. Maureen's son Boomer was taken in a horrible IED explosion in Afghanistan. She rode with us that day to keep his memory alive as she created an organization called Boomer's Legacy. Our late Katrina, a lady in Alberta, Trina Murray, she created the Alberta Provincial Highway of Heroes based on what they saw going on here in Ontario and with the HHR. They now have the Alberta extension of the Highway of Heroes. Saskatchewan was next, then Manitoba. Then I'd ride back here to Ontario. And here in Ontario, you folks with the HHR and you folks here in Port Hope and Oshawa before. And we did a ride downtown in Toronto and all the years starting at Trenton. God love you. You gave us all strength to do what we do. I've had the honor many times to carry Darlene Cushman. Daryl Caswell, her son, was a member of our core CAV organization. And he was going to form a core group in Afghanistan and do our first unit cresting in Afghanistan when one of his dear comrades was killed by an IED. Sadly, just a few weeks later, Daryl was taken. Darlene rode with us many times on this ride. We've had George Storm from Kenora come down in memory of his brother Albert. He rode his bike down a number of times, and he's ridden with Darlene and I in the sidecar down this HHR ride with the Highway of Heroes many times. We've had Silver Cross families, Mark Diob's family, his mom and dad have all joined us on this ride. We've had many, today we had a great ride out there, beautiful, beautiful weather, and we had Kathleen Smith with us. Her son was taken from us into combat in Afghanistan. And as we do all these rides and did all these rides the last 15 years, that message of energy spread across Canada. In La Belle Province, the autoroute de Souvenir, we've rode on that road many times supporting the casualties and the families of the 22e and Regiment Blindé de Canada, all the different Franco organizations that give their best, as everybody does in Canada. In New Brunswick, I had the honor of riding down the Highway of Heroes as a fellow named Brian McDonald and a Sean O'Shaughnessy. They got the New Brunswick Highway of Heroes settled, and I was able to ride down that road with Don and Lori Greenslades, their son David, killed in an IED blast, with Christopher Stanix, also a soldier out of New Brunswick, And we ride that Highway of Heroes. We just did the recent one where our UN NATO comrades led the ride, and we blasted down that Highway of Heroes in New Brunswick. In Nova Scotia, a fellow named Roger Mailman, he and Tony Lynch got the Nova Scotia Highway of Heroes together. And we ride that year annually, right in Nova Scotia, down their own Highway of Heroes. In Prince Edward Island, we take Kathy Bulger, whose son Nick was killed by an ID when he was doing a security sweep with John Vance. We ride down the Highway of Heroes now. Fernando Fernandez of the cab got that province's Highway of Heroes going, and we also have the ride to honor to share time with Kendra Millish, whose husband Frank was taken from us at the heavy fighting at the White Schoolhouse. And God bless him over in Newfoundland, Rick Hillier, our cab national rider-in-chief, a fellow named Jerry Farrell, Poppy we call him. The people of Newfoundland now have their own Highway of Heroes. Again, they watched what happened here, they created their own, and in just a couple of weeks, now I hate to say it, we don't ever want to see another hero come down that highway. But if it does happen, we know it will be there. We'll be seeing people like yourselves, people lining the bridges, and now people right across Canada on their own provincial sections of the Highway of Heroes standing tall, if God forbid it should ever happen again. But in just a couple of weeks, a whole bunch of us are headed over to the Rock. We're going downtown St. John's. And that's when they're bringing home a gentleman who's now back from the First World War, one of their unknowns. And his remains were taken down the Highway of Heroes on that Newfoundland extension. And he's going to be laying in rest. He's going to be publicly venued at the City Hall, and then down where all the training happened at Pleasant Camp, where all the training happened out at Kitty Vitty. Everywhere the Newfoundland Regiment, the Trail of the Caribou they call it, this gentleman is going to be taken by reverently until July the 1st, when we'll be downtown St. John's and watch him be placed into their own Tomb of the Unknowns, because Newfoundland was its own nation during the First World War and the Second World War. So the government of France released the remains of one of the unknowns from the area of Beaumont-Hamel. So that Highway of Heroes that you pushed through people's hearts, hands, and eyes right here in this ride, this energy, that traveled across Canada. And I witnessed it with my own eyes. And you can now go anywhere in Canada, the territories, you can see a Yukon, you can see a Northwest Territories in it. You're going to see a Highway of Heroes in every province and territory. And it was the spark that happened here with that beautiful, incredible Highway of Heroes out there and the HHR, the Heroes Highway Ride, you folks that are gathered here. I want to thank Lou and his crew, Dave, Brian Stacy. I want to thank all of you, the veterans who ride with us, the people of Port Hope. God love you. We do. This may not be the last year of energy shown through Lou's hands. You'll see all his staff. They've all got gray hair. If he had hair, it looked like Fabio, and it would be white. But they deserve a rest. But this energy is going to carry on. And I know that everybody here is going to be standing by to help out. So thank you all for showing us the honor you've always shown us. We love you. We always will. Take care.
True patriot love in our land. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for
Messing with the wife of a jealous man.